guys, welcome to this video. This time we're going to be showcasing the TORQ Locker front locking differential for Pioneer 500 and 520 by Honda. So this is an aftermarket part. I reached out to TORQ Masters to see if they'd be willing to help me out a bit on this mod, because I thought it would be a fantastic opportunity to do a video and showing what I think is one of the greatest reasons to buy this part. That's not that expensive, and it's not too hard to install if you're mechanically inclined. Just about to pull up to our bridge here, so we'll start, and for fun we'll go see if there's any snow left out there, but we're definitely going to have to be cutting to some older videos from back in the winter time. So hope you enjoy. Here we go. Yeah, if you're wondering why I got this style microphone and headset, it's because it's really loud in here, and this headset is amazing at cutting out all background noise, so you should be just hearing my voice. So we're just coming over the bridge here, and we got some nice spring runoff happening here, which is definitely way too early in the season. Does anyone else get a little cringy when you have tracks and you're driving on anything but snow? The TORQ Locker, basically as soon as I snick this into four-wheel drive, the front locking differential senses the torque coming from the transmission, and it locks it into full-time four-wheel drive. So the big issue, if you require more traction like we do with the factory Honda Pioneer 500 or 520, is that it's got an open front differential. And what that means is if you start to get into some scenarios where you're spinning the tires a bit and you're losing some traction, basically, you're getting stuck, your machine is going to be going into like a three-wheel drive mode where one of the front tires is going to have no power sent to it by the differential. And so by adding the TORQ Locker and being in four-wheel drive, it's going to get equal power to both front wheels and the equal power to both rear wheels. So full four-wheel drive locked. And there could be many reasons why you would want that. It could be you've got some kind of cool off-grid cabin on a property that's really hard to get to. Your trail conditions can be changing, or depending on the season, or you got a hunt camp or something, and you're just out, or you're into mudding, rock crawling, all kinds of reasons really that you could need more traction. And for us, basically, our big one is putting tracks on the machine is important so that we can get out and groom our trails. So that's why we decided that, it's time we need to do something here where we could up our game and have way more traction. We got the tracks for this rig with the idea that it could, go out, have some fun, but really pack our trails down, so that we could do some hiking and stuff. And then we always thought, we'd really like to have a trail groomer and make things really great for hiking and snowmobiling and all that kind of stuff. So, we bought the tracks, and then you can't help but, see the demo videos for the tracks, or you do some YouTubing, see these ATVs and four-wheelers and side-by-sides just going through all kinds of snow and all that. But what I really didn't think about at the time was that, just because they're four-wheelers or side-by-sides doesn't mean every machine has kind of the same drivetrain. And by that I mean, yeah, sure, they almost all have four-wheel drive, but do they have locking four-wheel drive? And so, kind of found out the hard way, put the tracks on, and you can get stuck in spots where, you kind of don't really expect to. Definitely go check out our track video. But by adding a locking front diff and being able to lock all four wheels and have full four-wheel drive has changed this machine in such an awesome way, so that it pulls the groomer around no problem. I never have to worry about getting stuck. If I do get into a situation where, you know, it's getting stuck, I know that I can basically just put it in reverse and back out of it. Without the TORQ Locker, I would have to have a shovel. Usually, maybe I could back out of an easy sort of situation that wasn't like a really bad, spot where I got stuck really bad. But let's just say it was just, one of those times you did a little oops and put it in reverse and you back out. But sometimes I did get into a couple spots where I needed the shovel because the machine, 3 of the tracks, the machine down into the snow, and the one track's not spinning, and it's just being like a total parasitic, loss, and now it's making basically more work for the machine for the other 3 tracks to try to move it. So, it would bury the machine, then it would be sitting up on the snow under the belly, and then you got to go under and dig all that out, and it's a lot of work. It's not something you want to be doing at night. You just want to go out and groom the trails after working or after a big snowfall or whatever. Yeah, and the last thing anybody wants to do is be messing around with a shovel and, being out and snow in your boots and all that kind of stuff. So this really changed the way that this machine behaves, because now if I get stuck, even with the groomer on the back, I can just back it up a little bit, take another go, or move over and pack the snow down a little bit, and maybe take another line. But it's always been, if I get stuck and I start to bury the machine and I catch myself in time, which is really easy now, I can just stop, back up, turn around, or try again. It's totally different. It's night and day difference with the TORQ Master, with the TORQ Locker front diff on now. So super, super happy to report that. It's why I reached out to TORQ Masters, because I just thought, hey, I'm onto something. If I get a full locking differential in the front of this machine, it's going to do what I really hope it's going to do, and it did. So I'm happy to report that. And so I'm going to do a little turnaround here. But so now, having said all that, there's pros and cons to everything. It's the added cost of doing that. And again, if you don't feel like fully confident in doing a modification like that, you've got to be into paying for some labor, which adds to the expense. But if you are like us at all and you require more traction with your three-wheel drive machine, it's really great that there's companies out there like an aftermarket company that is willing to produce a part that is so awesome and gets the job done that Honda couldn't do. We've said in other videos that Honda should have it'd be nice if they had a deluxe version of the 520 so that you could pay some more money and get that stuff. So if you're in the showroom and going to buy a rig, and you have the foresight to say like, well, geez, I really need to be able to lock my differentials because I'm into trail grooming or the other things that, all the other reasons that could be out there that you personally need, then it's way better to pay the money up front, but, and not have to be replacing parts and pulling perfectly good parts out of the machine, aftermarket upgrades, putting them in. It can be fun or whatever, but usually it's kind of wasted money, potentially. So, but at least there are options for you in the aftermarket world. And so that kind of moves me to the next topic is, if you're considering a TORQ Locker for a machine like this, you definitely want to consider power steering. If you don't already have power steering, and none of the Pioneer 500s or 520s have the option to have power steering, you're going to want to do it. Trust me. Especially if you want to have tracks on the machine. But once you lock up, it gets a lot firmer. And again, if you're in areas that you're like driving in a straight line all the time and you're not really like going lock to lock, like, yeah, I'm in the wrong gear. There it goes to second, but here I'm going lock to lock. I could tell you right now, if I didn't have power steering installed, I would already be out of breath. And you can see there, that was like really, maybe you couldn't tell, but it's definitely effortless. And so if your trails and your terrain is at all like this, where you're definitely throwing the wheel back and forth a lot, I mean, this is like so easy. It's like driving a car, really. Like anything that you're used to that has power steering, it's just awesome. So it goes from being like a real workout and a fully two-handed thing when you're in the tight stuff like this, where it's like, okay, now it's like you don't have to think about it. And for trail grooming especially, the trail groomer doesn't really go right where the machine does. So a lot of times you have to overcompensate and take really wide turns and then cut in sharp and then go wide and cut in sharp just to get the groomer to go around things like rocks and trees. So then you're throwing the wheel back and forth to get the groomer to follow you and go where you want to go. And it could be 10 o'clock at night. That's usually when we go grooming, because the snow's cold and, you know, like you finally got the kids to bed or whatever, work's done and all that kind of stuff. So you're getting tired by that point. And so, again, yes, you can get by without power steering if you really have to, but if you have trails like we do and you're going back and forth with the steering wheel, they're best friends, the TORQ Locker and the power steering. So we did the power steering kit by Super ATV, and it was pretty good install, went pretty well. We did it ourselves, and wow, that is an amazing upgrade. And I'm sure there's lots of other people out there that'll agree with me how awesome it is. And just back to the TORQ Locker. So this is the big reason to get the TORQ Locker, is that it just turns this machine to an actual unstoppable rig in the snow, where you just feel like you're never going to get stuck. The confidence in traction and what the machine can do with the TORQ Locker as opposed to before, it feels like 4 times or 10 times the confidence, just knowing the machine. Okay, it's impressive to see something like this with tracks, but if it doesn't fully perform like you expect it to, you know, it's kind of disappointing. And now the machine does 100% of what we want it to do around our properties here at the ranch. So super happy to report that the TORQ Locker does exactly what I hoped it to do. So happy with it. Yeah, just come up and stop here and say thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it entertaining or helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. We'll do our best to get back to you. And really appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like and consider subscribing if you want to see some more stuff when we do put it out there. Hit the bell so you can be notified too. And yeah, so thanks again for watching and happy riding.
Just wanted to add at the end of this video, at the time of shooting it, I decided to do a 3-camera setup and try to get a ride-along style video. Other than the lack of snow, unfortunately, at the time of year last year, which should have been winter, yeah, it was pretty fun to make. So please let me know. I appreciate it.